Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie. Today's video we're going to be talking about our very last gather round unit that we're doing for this school year. It will take us to about middle of June. Life has been busy. 10. What?
Is it 10?
Yeah, it's 10. It's just one of those things that life has been crazy and busy, and so I'm trying to make sure that the end of the year is a little bit more relaxed and calm, and eventually, like, we've got like gifts from Christmas, like artsy fartsy type gifts, and I think that the end of the last 2 weeks, whatever we have left, I want it to be something that like is just relaxed and fun, and I think that's good going into high school. We need that just kind of like, you know, we finished, we did it, celebrate with art stuff. So this unit is Inventions and Ideas, and already there's tons and tons of history. There's we're I think 7 lessons in. And so we're just talking about different ideas that were brought forward, things like Morse code and the telephone, and like all of the things that we kind of take for granted, and how they were built and put together. And I just think it's a really good one for history, because like I said, I kind of liked one of the things early on it was easy to do with Gather Round was to have a geography unit, and then have a science unit, and then a history unit, and depending on what you pick, it's a little bit more difficult as you get on. So it worked out well for this one. So what I usually do with my units is I make some sort of banner, and sometimes I remember to do it, sometimes I don't, I'm sorry. But I made this banner, and some of them print really good, and then others don't, and I just kind of like filled in with some like marker some of the, and you can see it says inventions, but the N in the middle is very weird. I don't know, it's weird, but and then I found this, and all of these I just Google banner, invention banner, or inventions and ideas. I just kind of Google those things and then see what comes up. I know Teachers Pay Teachers has a lot of different banners that you can purchase. I just, if I don't have to buy anything, I don't. Sorry, we've had such a wet spring here in Alberta, so you're going to see the light levels change drastically because there's so much clouds in the sky. And so yeah, we've had this like, it's sunny, and then I go to film and it's like, no, it's not sunny, and I have my light here, but it's just, yeah, it's going to be inconsistent, and that's just, I don't have like a sound studio where all the lights are set up. I've got one light and whatever the weather does. So the next thing that I usually pick is books for the girls to do assigned readers. With both of these, my eldest daughter, who's going into high school next year, she does a letter to the author about the book that we've picked together, because I usually give her a couple of options. And this year, or this unit, excuse me, I let her pick one that was kind of goofy and silly. Again, it's the end of the school year. I just want this to be like way more relaxed than it has been in the past. And she does struggle with the writing assignments and stuff. I say everything that I read from her is like, ah. And so I thought maybe if this one was silly and goofy, she would have more fun with it. So we're giving it a go anyway. So she picked this one called Nerds National Espionage, Rescue, and Defense Society, and it's like very obviously way younger than her level of reading, but again, I've picked ones that are more adult books, and I get the same sort of response in her reading, so I'm hoping that this one will be a little bit different. Sorry, I feel like I need to sneeze. Excuse me. Are we done? All right. My other daughter, I have her reading Frankenstein. And this one is fun. It's got some very cute pictures in it. And again, just picking ones that are more silly and goofy so that she can have fun with it. There's a lot of sign language built in as well. So I just wanted her to be able to read something that was fun and silly. The next thing I usually do is we do read aloud at the start of our school day. We will do an apologetics book that we've been going through. I've talked about it many times on my channel before, and you will see it again when I do what we're doing for the school. But I read an excerpt out of this book, and it's literally the inventions and the ideas around stationery. And the reason why I read an excerpt, several excerpts out of the pen. There's a chapter here all about pens, and it's a very, very long chapter. So we go all the way from like picking up sticks and writing in mud or dipping mud in and putting it on the rocks around us, all the way up to a pen made for space. The astronauts needed to be able to write, and all the mechanisms required gravity, and so they had to come up with some sort of pen that could work in the zero gravity. The reason why I wanted to read this is because even for my generation, I've grown up with ballpoint pens being a thing. That's a normal part of life, and you take for granted the fact that that's just there. It's always been there. And so actually like following the steps all the way through to the point where there is something called a ballpoint pen, and like it's a relatively new invention, which is kind of cool. So I read some of that, but this book is hilarious because it's, you know, hugely entertaining experience. This engaging book is an absolute must, and it's like the perfection of the paperclip and stationery obsession. I'm not obsessed with stationery, but it was kind of cool for the girls to see something so innocuous like a pen. There's a chapter on paper clips. We use them, but not to the extent that we do a pen. So that was my purpose for that one. And then I decided to keep going with the moon theme, or the astronaut theme, because with the pen being designed for that, I thought this one was amazing. So how we got to the moon, and it's all about the people, technology, and daring, painful feats of science behind humanity's greatest adventure. And so it just talks about all the things that they had to make, design, invent in order for us to be able to rockets go to the moon. And yeah, I think it's very, very cool. This was my favorite. So I'm a huge Apollo 13 is my favorite movie, but the Apollo missions are some of my favorite, and this is a drawing of what the astronauts saw when they sit in their thing and they're fiddling with all of the buttons and dials and toggles and all of the things that they had to do. And I just thought, how cool is that? I've never actually seen a full schematic of what they actually saw, what they had to deal with, all of that kind of stuff. The lunar module, so cool. It's so awesome. So I'm very excited that they might be going back to the moon one day. We'll see if they manage it. All right. Oh, sorry, I just bumped you. There we go. Okay. So I also grab a whole plethora of books that I put in this magazine rack that the girls can reference, that they can look at, that they can spend time when they have free time looking at. So this is 1,000 Inventions and a Discovery. It was a DK book, and if you know anything about the DK books, they're very, very detailed, picture-oriented. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. This one is 50 wacky inventions throughout history. Weird inventions that seem too crazy to be real. I thought that one was cool. Genius inventions. And this is a story behind history's greatest technological breakthroughs, which is pretty cool. From Here to There, inventions that changed the world, how the world, or the way the world moves, excuse me. And this one's a little bit younger, but it's, again, very pretty. 100 Things You Didn't Know About Da Vinci, Inventions, Intrigue, and Unfinished Work, which is cool. I wanted to get a book about Nikola Tesla, his inventions, research, and writings. So this is, you know, Nikola Tesla in his own words, which is kind of neat. It might be, again, over the heads of my kids or the interests of my kids at this point, but I'm really mindful of like the high school years and wanting to get a good resource library in my own house that they can reference, not just the internet, not just the library. So this is Epic Fails, the Wright brothers nose diving into history. And again, you know, there's some cute pictures. It's very young, but at the same time has all the information, and I can read this book to Darian one day. Billy Schur, Kid Entrepreneur and Spy. This one, again, I get a whole bunch of different ones to make sure that I have some readers for Sienna, and then we kind of pick and choose depending on what's there. Suppressed Inventions and Other Discoveries, Revealing the World's Greatest Secret of Science and Medicine. So this one I thought was kind of a cool idea of the ones that were suppressed because of various different reasons. Again, don't know if we're going to get into it tons this year, but I'm sure it could be something we read later. The Book of Inventions, Ideas That Changed the World. And this one, again, satellites, that has changed the world drastically. Most of these books, if not all of them, I got through bookoutlet.ca. Some units that I look into, there's nothing. I can't find anything. And then other units like this one, I find tons of different options for the kids to read through. And likely I will keep most of these books. Some of the younger ones, like you filter through eventually and go, okay, we don't need that, and I'll give that to the thrift store or I'll sell it. But most of the books I find, I try and find secondhand, and most of the time I do it online. I don't find our secondhand stores have a good variety based on gather round units. So I hope that this gives you guys ideas on how to make a unit up, to build up a unit and like kind of fill it out. It's my favorite thing to do is have that as a basis and then expand and make it grow. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and in the next couple of months you'll start seeing my curriculum choices for my kids, and then of course we'll still be going through guardianship and all of that. So if that's interesting to you, feel free to leave a comment or sign up. Subscribe, that's the word I'm looking for. Subscribe to my channel. I do a video every single week minus Christmas. So have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.